Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video we will talk about rolling updates in Kubernetes. Let's get started. A rolling update is a deployment strategy which let us allow to deploy your application, update the configuration with a minimal downtime or disruption. So there will be almost zero downtime for your application, and it can be achieved by gradually updating the old pods which is actually your application is running on, and with the new pods, and the new pod will have the updated version. So for example, we have an application and we are using 3 pods with the version 1. What we want to update the pod from version 1 to version 2. How this could be updated? Kubernetes will not update all the 3 pods at once to version 2. What it will do, and actually it will just update only one pod from version 1 to version 2. The pod with version 1 will not be destroyed, and the pod with version 2 will not be directly accessible by the internet. Rather, it will pass from a few checks, and once it got a green signal, then this pod will be up and running and will be accessible. So here in a cluster we are having 4 pods, but in replica set it is defined that the desired number of pods should be 3. So Kubernetes it will just destroy the pod with version 1, and the version 2 pod will be accessible for the end users. Similarly, the same process is repeated for pod number 2 and pod number 3. Now just look into its theory. Let's say we have an application which running 3 pods with a version 1, and we want them to update to version 2. So what we would do is we would kick off a deployment to update all the pods to version 2. In Kubernetes, when you update an application, it wouldn't update all the pods at once and switch them to the new pods, because that would mean that there is some downtime. This strategy is also risky because there might be a bug in one new version that would be necessitate a rollback. Instead, Kubernetes does is it will automatically deploy one pod at a time. So while there are 4 new pods, the new pod is not yet accessible. It will go through a series of checks to make sure that the new pod runs correctly, and then once it gets that green light, that the new pod will then become accessible. The replica set in the deployment will then kick in and say, hey, there are 4 new pods, and when there are actually should be 3. So I need to remove one. It will not remove a version 1 pod, and then the process will keep going until all the pods are updated. So a version 2 will be deployed, and it will go through a series of checks. When there is a green light, then the version 1 will be removed, and so forth. And all the pods are running version 2 without any downtime. One more handy thing about deployment is that it maintains a history of changes made to the cluster, which gives you a very easy way to roll back any changes to a previous state or version. So you can also go back to your previous changes if you like, if there is any issue. So thank